2, 1, 0. Let's see. And let's go. Do we have sound? Looks like we will have sound in a moment. Everything seems to be working. Good. Then we can get started. Good morning, friends. Thanks for dropping by, for saying hi. I hope that you're doing well wherever you are in the world. I hope that life is treating you well. We can eat as much food as we want, but should we eat as much food as we want for health and fitness? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the quantities of food that we can or cannot consume in order to reach and maintain our health and fitness goals, and what the implications of those are for our daily habits. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old, and I'm training to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. And if you're listening to this, I'm also making a cup of coffee, which is why you're probably hearing a bit of background noise, but I'll try to keep that to a minimum. I do that by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, showing up for daily workouts, but also showing up for an active daily routine. I try to maintain good friendships, relationships, ties to community, contributions to community, and to keep working in a way that, or developing my habits and routines in a way that will support long-term health and longevity. And I think compared to where I started at 16-year-olds and all the up and downs I've had, where I ended up at 33 years old, weighing 101 kilos, which definitely is like 20 kilos was 20 kilos of fat, overweight, that I needed to reduce, to where I am today, having a routine and habits that are actually supportive of my long-term health and fitness goals. And that's what I talk about here on the podcast. Poor Man's Gym, Daniel, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Hope you're doing all right. I see you're continuing to work out with Jace, and it seems like you're starting to keep up with him better and better. How's your sleeping going? I hope that's improved, and I hope that you are well where you are in the world and that life is treating you well, and that the things that you're trying to achieve, you're actually getting closer to achieving them. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about today's training, because I did do a training again today after a couple of days not being able to do that because I had that cold. You might hear my nose is still a little bit blocked, but not in a bad way. I'm good enough to train again and to be active again, which is good news. And then we're going to talk about food and quantity specifically today. And then we're going to talk about one small change that we can make in terms of our food habits that might help us actually stay fit and healthy in the short and long run, doing better. I'm happy to hear that you are doing better, and please continue doing better, and keep showing up and doing the work, because I think you're doing really well. And exactly, I think getting that good night's sleep is one of the most important things you can do. You can always catch up on my podcast later. For those of you who are watching, listening, I am trying to hit that 3,000 hour watch time goal. So if you want to do me a favor and stick around for the entire podcast, or find one of the podcasts that you actually find more interesting, lean into that, listen, and kind of listen to that for more than 30 seconds, maybe 1 to 2 to 3 minutes. I think that would already help me tremendously in hitting that watch time, listening time goal, and I would really appreciate that. Not you, poor man, Jim. You're going to sleep, so sleep well, and have a good day tomorrow. But do try to drop by tomorrow and listen to 1 or 2 minutes of the podcast if you have the time. Hit like, subscribe, say hi in chat. Let me know you're here watching. It all helps people find, discover me, the channel grow, keeps me motivated. It's always nice to know that I'm not talking to the wall over here or the bananas over there, but actually to people watching and listening. Now, today's training was mobility. And I was saying that I show up for 30 minutes of training. That doesn't mean that I'm lifting heavy weights and trying to set personal records every day of the week. It means that every day I do 30 minutes of some form of exercise. That could be mobility, that could be endurance, or it could be strength, or strength and conditioning, to try and build lean mass, to try to build and increase strength, to maintain and improve my cardiorespiratory health, and to maintain and keep my range of motion, right? Those are the things that I am mindful of, because as I get older, I am pretty sure that, I am fighting deterioration. Deterioration is inevitable. I would like to be able to keep going out for long walks. I would like to be able to carry my own groceries. I would like to be able to lift my children and grandchildren. I would like to be able to do many things throughout life. And I would like to continue to be able to do those things. And one of the ways to try to maintain that capacity is by training. Not super heavy, not super intense, but just enough to stimulate my body to keep strong, fit, and able. And that is a lifetime commitment. So this morning was mobility and using and moving my bodies in different directions, including the big bouncy Red Bull. You can check out the live stream on the channel. Let's talk about food, because it is Tuesday, and on Tuesday we talk about food. This food matters a lot for health and fitness. I'm not going to say food is medicine, because I'm not a medical doctor. This is also not medical advice. This is just me sharing my opinions and my ideas and what I've learned and my experiences in trying to stay fit and healthy, and what the role food plays in that process for me. The thumbnail says quantity, because with food I think it is quantity over quality. If we're trying to prioritize anything, we should look at the quantity of foods that we are eating, and specifically the quantity of energy or calories we are taking in. And I understand there's a lot of debate about this online, and it can be quite confusing. It was confusing for me for years, because I had to unlearn a lot of things that I thought I'd learned about what healthy food is. I had to unlearn the concept that if I move more, then I can eat more. So I thought that if I go for a 1-hour walk, I can suddenly have, a hamburger, fries, and a liter of Coca-Cola, because that 1 hour of strolling actually allowed me to consume a 1,200 calorie meal, which, if you do the math, doesn't math out very well, right? Doesn't work out, doesn't make sense when you look at the numbers, but that's what I thought. I had to understand that being good with food for breakfast didn't mean that I could be bad with food for lunch. I don't think good and bad are good ways to describe this. Being good with food for breakfast didn't mean that I could do whatever I wanted for lunch and dinner, because I had already paid my dues in terms of healthy eating. Healthy, wholesome food needed to become a part of my daily routine, my habits, my lifestyle. And that was a slow change that took years. And still, yesterday I finished a bit over half a sleeve of Oreos between the train station and my house, which is like a 6-minute walk. It's like 1.5 Oreos per minute. Doing justice to the idea that I heard online that I can consume 70 calories in a minute, give or take. In other words, in 10 minutes or in 6 minutes, I could consume maybe 420, 490, 500 calories. It's probably true. And a 5-minute walk obviously uses no more energy than I usually use. But that is one of the hardest habits that I am just not able to break. And once in a while, I think, whatever, overall it's fine. I'm going to have the damn Oreos because I want to, and I enjoy eating them somewhat. Right? But there were a lot of little habits like that, going out to eat, greasy, stir fry with a lot of sugars, a lot of sauce, take away pizzas, take away meat cuts, spare ribs. Some of these things are really tasty and enjoyable to eat, don't get me wrong. But the balance between the amount of calories versus what I required to stay fit and healthy was completely off. And over time I had to really relearn, how to make food choices that were more in line with my current and long-term health and fitness goals. And a lot of it comes down to quantity, portion control, both when eating out, when ordering takeaway, or when preparing my own food. And you might say, well, but I've seen some of the pictures and images of foods. Those look like relatively large portions of salads. Yes, the portions of salads tend to be relatively large. There are a lot of leaves, there's a lot of volume, there's very little calories in cucumber, carrots, paprika, and salad leaves. Most of the calories will come from the nuts, the oil, and the beans or the lentils that are mixed into the salad, right? So you get a larger volume. The quantity of energy, however, is on par with chicken, broccoli, and rice, so to speak, as a meal set. So just keep that in mind, right? That when we start to change our food habits, we start to see that there are a lot of small things that we take for granted that we actually never think about, that we definitely should start thinking about more and more. Because it's all those little habits and those little decisions that we make throughout the day that cumulatively become our lifestyle or are our lifestyle and have a big influence on how well we do in terms of reaching our short and long-term health and fitness goals. So the quantity of food matters, all right? If we're going to prioritize anything in terms of our health and fitness, the quantity of food is probably going to be the biggest single factor that is going to affect and maybe change how we eat. Because we want to strike a balance between satiation, fullness, and energy, right? So there are foods that are, very satiating. There are foods that are so voluminous that they provide us with a sense of fullness. And we want foods that provide us with sufficient energy to move through the day without feeling peckish or low on energy or suffering from, these energy and tiredness spikes. But those are things that we need to be wary of, and we need to be aware of, and we need to make choices around. So where do we start? Well, let's talk about one small change that we can make in terms of food quantity. I would like you to start understanding what the energy value, the caloric value of 100 grams of the foods that you're eating is, because usually, generally, we do things in around 100 grams. So, for example, if you eat oats for breakfast, which I don't think you generally eat 100 grams, probably closer to 50 in a serving, but if you're eating oats for breakfast, understand how many calories are in 100 grams of regular, normal oats. Those things that look something like this, right? Those things. Regular, boring, bland oats. If you're eating breakfast cereals from a package, what is the nutritional value of 100 grams of those breakfast cereals? If you're having a slice of bread, what is the nutritional value of 100 grams of that bread? What is the nutritional value of 100 grams of peanut butter? What is the nutritional value of 100 grams of honey? But think in 100 grams and just pick one thing every day for the next 7 to 14 days and just read the label and understand what the nutritional value of 100 grams of that particular food is. What is the nutritional value of 100 grams of broccoli? What is the nutritional value of 100 grams, which is usually a bit less than this one whole banana? YouTube Punk, thanks for dropping by, saying hi. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And I appreciated your message the other day. And I hope you're staying on top of things that are happening in life and that life is treating you well. It's good of you to drop by and to say hi. I hope that this is a good Tuesday morning, or I guess Monday night for you, headed into Tuesday morning. It is actually 6:02 a.m. and I'm about to wrap up. But obviously, if you have a question for me, or want to just chat for a minute, I am here and available. Obviously, because it's always nice to speak with you and to have you drop by. So like I was saying, wrapping up, 100 grams of any food that you can find. Just try to understand what the nutritional value is and maybe make some comparisons. But first, just start reading the label, understand what the nutritional value is of 100 grams of any food you want to pick. And then we'll take it from there. That's all I have for you today, friends. It's 6:03 a.m., which means I'm going to go out for my walk. And it's going to be a good walk because it's 6, so I have a whole hour, hopefully, to be moving around. Thanks for dropping by, saying hi. Remember, hit like, subscribe. If you're interested in the podcast, check out my live stream workouts as well. You'll see that I've been relatively consistent, and that at least when it comes to consistency, I know what I'm talking about. And if you want to have a conversation about health and fitness for men in their 40s, about being a father, about managing life with a career, about any things that come up in life, you go ahead and subscribe and ask me a question whenever you want. YouTube Punk, I appreciate that, and I wish you a good night's sleep when you finally get around to getting to bed. Remember that we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today is going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So don't forget to drop by tomorrow. And remember, friends, subscribe.